Hello, world. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you letting me in. This will not be very long. My time with you is finite. I am only here to plant a seed. A seed with a unimaginable potentiality. A potentiality of endless growth. A seed that contains within itself all that is required to one day blossom, to flourish into a forest, a lush and pristine forest with an abundance of shade. Shade to comfort you when the sun roars, and shelter you when the rain pours. In truth, the forest I speak of already exists. It exists within you. This seed is simply a reminder of the seed of self already in you, an eternal seed with limitless potentialities, a seed we can cultivate together. So one day, when it's time, when you're ready, you can see it blossom and experience what I'm speaking of as you discover your own inner forest, the vast forest of self, a forest of alive, present awareness and detached equanimity, a forest just waiting to sprout from within you. The seed I am here to plant with you is unlike any other seed you will ever encounter. It has the potential to sprout without end. A single seed contains the raw potential within itself to uproot humanity from its conditioned self-centeredness and shift our limited human awareness into a state of limitless beingness. A beingness only found within the spacious stillness of a pristine forest. A spacious stillness only open to those willing to be silent, to listen and know that a life full of sorrow is not just the product of undesirable circumstances, just as hunger is not just an expression of an empty stomach. Please do not misunderstand. In the forest I come from, pain is still painful, and joy is still joyful. However, the pain and joy experienced there is not personal. It does not belong to anyone. In fact, it rarely appears. But when it does not linger. As quickly as it arrives, it continues on. It is like a forest leaf, a leaf afloat a gentle breeze, a leaf that gets blown from here to there, and as soon as it appears, it disappears. Not because it is not dealt with, but because there's no one to hold on to it, no one to assume ownership of it. So it moves on, just as it arrived. It allows the wind to carry it elsewhere, somewhere new, someplace where the wind is motionless, somewhere where the wind is passive and forgiving. In this forest, just as in any other forest, all leaves are in constant motion, only to briefly pause their endless travels when the wind becomes inactive, forcing the leaves of pain and joy among countless others to halt their wingless flight. Where they come from is a mystery. Where they will end up is also unknown. The only certainty is that they will all come, and eventually they will all go. Some more quickly than others, but in the end they will find their way home, over the horizon, vanishing into the blue sky, leaving the forest they just passed through undisturbed and unaffected. A forest unmoved and unchanged by the changing winds of life. A forest that was birthed from a single seed. A seed that grew roots and matured. Over time, sprouting into an imperturbable oasis. An oasis where time is non-existent. An oasis where the moon bathes every branch and flower with the softness of her acquiescent moonlight. Just as a mother indiscriminately blankets every one of her children with her unconditional love. This is exactly what this seed has the potential to become: a lush inner paradise, like a forest basking in waves of luminescent moonlight, only turning the moonlight bath into a shower of unfettered warmth when the sun begins its faithful rise. All the while, the wind keeps blowing and the leaves keep moving, free to pass without obstruction, without the need to become more than what they are. A simple leaf, a fragile and weightless leaf, a leaf without direction, traveling through an endless landscape, a forest of stillness, a forest that is undisturbed and unmolested, existing imperturbably in its natural state of eternal beingness, while the leaves of life continue on, being transported in a whirlpool of air through the vast landscape upon the breath of a whispering breeze, from here to there and there to here, looking for a home where the wind does not howl, a home where they can rest from their ceaseless flight, crash landing onto the open floor, waiting for the next gust of air to come along and force them to resume their wingless journey on their endless path to nowhere. As I sit here, observing the wind and the leaves dance their favorite song, a perfectly choreographed dance of sudden impulse, I've noticed all leaves, regardless of origin, have a certain commonality, a commonality that keeps them bound to a never-ending cycle of spontaneous movement, bound and defenseless in the face of a stubborn breeze, making them unstable and unpredictable, at the mercy of the wind's intensity and direction, under complete submission to its will and desire, very similar to those who dwell in the world of mind, those who live at the mercy of their own thoughts, thoughts that dictate every emotion and therefore every experience. Just as the wind has supreme control over a leaf's flight. The stubborn wind of mind is in absolute control over every fragile leaf of thought. Whether a leaf of thought is joyful, painful, or fearful, to the wind, a leaf's makeup is unimportant. It does not bother to care what it's made of. All it knows is that leaves are meant to be obedient, just as the mind believes to be true about every thought. Therefore, imposing its will and desire over it without restriction. A will and desire that resembles the relentless tenacity of a willful breeze. A breeze with no direction is like a mind without intention. And the leaves a breeze enjoys to play with is like the thoughts a mind uses to entertain itself with. A fragile thought in a constant subjugation to the whims and tantrums of a subtle human mind, making each thought unstable and unpredictable. Thoughts in a mind are like leaves in a forest, leaves of fear, pain, and joy, passing through aimlessly without direction, consuming our awareness in a fruitless chase, a senseless chase, forcing our unlimited awareness to exist in a constant pursuit of leaves, jumping from one leaf onto another, wasting every precious moment chasing the senseless leaves of unnecessary accumulation and superficial satisfaction, just so we can convince ourselves our false experience of the senseless and the meaningless is real. As real as the direction in which a leaf riding upon a gust of wind seems to be on. A directionless leaf on a path to nowhere is as fruitful as a directionless thought on a path to everywhere. This is why I'm here with you today, to plant this seed, a seed with the potentiality of becoming your inner forest, a forest that's undisturbed and unmoved by the relentless upheaval of leaves a forceful gust of wind may create. Leaves of thought attempting to distract you, attempting to consume your awareness in them, making you believe a single leaf of thought it's more realistic than the forest in which it exists in. The vast forest of inner self in you. A forest of self you will only discover by planting a seed. A seed you have to water and care for. A seed you have to learn how to grow. A seed that will inevitably take time to flourish as you make sure it gets plenty of light. Then one day, your seed will begin to blossom. And as it pierces through the soil of self, you will know that the forest you once dreamed of is within sight. Hey world, thanks for listening. I hope the seed we've just planted grows without end in you. Please remember that leaves are to a forest what thoughts are to the self. If you have enjoyed what you've heard, stay tuned for more original content. Also, please leave me a comment, like, share, and subscribe. But most importantly, be kind. Be kind to yourself and others. Thank you.